guys, welcome back. Question the answer.
Welcome back.
I'm a mere spectator today. I'm back from the dead. Megan's gonna.
Chrissy's being a trooper today.
Megan's gonna talk for the next 45 minutes. I'm just gonna smile and nod and hopefully retain what I can.
Fresh off her second knee surgery.
Oh my God, this better be the last one.
Yeah. Not on Oxy though. We're not on
Oxy.
She's
no.
not taking that. Although that would have made for a pretty good episode, I think.
On Oxy versus off Oxy? Yeah. Believe it or not, I'm a lot of fun on Oxy.
I bet.
You're talking. Bet. If you're not sleeping, you're talking or giggling, so it's not
I mean, actually, speaking of Oxy, probably one of the funniest stories I've seen this week, which makes you feel like you're on drugs when you read it or see the pictures.
I can't imagine which one you've chosen.
So I think I first saw it on Instagram or something, and I'm like, what is this? And it's so in Scotland, there is a Scottish company called House of Illuminati. They had opened this Willy Wonka inspired Willy's Chocolate Experience.
And I did see this story.
They had all of these promoters. They had these AI images of what it's going to look like, and it looks awesome, right?
It's supposed to be this amazing experience.
Like this, family friendly, world of imagination.
But what did it end up being?
So people got there, and
now I know the people that got there, they're upset.
Well, yeah, because first of all, I think it was like 40. I think the euros equated to $40 like a person. So you're not.
Love to see you do that math. Okay,
whatever that is. It wasn't cheap for a family to go,
but it wasn't like Disney World.
Well, no.
What are they up to now? $175 for a ticket?
Well, they have surge pricing, so who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, somewhere in that range. But yeah, families, it's like you want to bring your kids to this experience, and it looks great. And Wonka had come out, not that long ago, which was a great movie, by the way. I will say, we saw it
with Timothy Chalamet.
Mm-hmm.
How the hell
and
you
I
say
kind of
his name?
knocked on that movie when it first came out. I was like, this is dumb. Why they got Hugh Grant being the Oompa Loompa?
How many times are we gonna do this movie?
That's what I thought. But this is why I learned don't speak before you see things or read about it or whatever, or do your research, because it really was a great movie.
My only thing with Timothy Chalamet, how do you say
Timothy Chalamet.
Chalamet. I mean, let's be honest. He's a very good-looking kid.
Yeah, he's cute.
He looks young.
He does. Well, I think he is young. I think
he's
in
not
his 20s.
But he looks like he's like. I guess my point is like he looks like he's 18.
Yeah, like a teenager. He's just got that face.
Is he older or younger than Kylie Jenner?
Kylie Jenner, I don't know. It's a good question.
I saw a report, and once again, can't believe everything you read, that they split up.
Well, she was just with him at one of the award shows.
Right, that was a while ago. That was like 2 weeks ago, Megan.
Yeah, I guess.
And he's
the kid in Hollywood.
He's the kid that's in Dune, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
he's in Dune. He was in.
Side note: I've seen Dune. Great movie.
I haven't seen it.
I don't understand what the hype is about it. Like, it's not a Star Wars. It's not. It's.
I don't even know what it's about, other than they're in a desert.
I mean, that's kind of what it's about. And I mean, just, there's creatures taking over one planet, and then there's other creatures from another. I mean, it's like your typical Star Wars-ish type scenario.
Like different like planet vibes, or
I guess. But once again, good movie, acceptable movie. I mean, not that I'm going to go and watch it again. What's going on over there? What are you two talking about?
Well, we were just discussing,
I love
Dune.
How you talked to him off camera. And you did. Now
you want to be correct, and I want to be correct, but I think, Dune was a huge book.
Huge.
I mean, huge. Just
it's based
huge.
off a book series.
Can you say huge?
Huge.
China.
Huge.
China.
But no, I think Timothy Chalamet did a great job in Dune. I happen to see Wonka. I mean, not expecting anything, and blown away by the whole movie. They had some great British actors in this movie.
It was. My kids loved it.
Did you go to the movie theater to see this?
We did.
You spent money on a movie theater.
I love going to the movies.
To see the Willy Wonka movie again.
Yeah.
All right. Who wasn't I'm never going to think of the name off the top of my head. Who was the Oompa Loompa?
Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant. Yes.
Which how they got him to? I would need to know how they got him to do this role. I need to understand.
A lot of money.
Yeah, he was funny. I thought it was great. It was great.
Who is great is Zendaya.
I do enjoy her. I do enjoy her a lot.
I don't know, she's
great.
just a cool girl. I don't know her, but
yeah, she seems like she's
I'd
cool,
like her.
like a normal girl.
Yeah.
Anyway, and we just we
We'll
just
find
watched
out in
Magic
10 years
Showman
if
too
she's
recently.
normal or not.
Well, yeah. Anyway, so this was not a world of pure imagination.
Please tell
this
me you have a
event.
video of what it actually.
Okay, so hold on. Okay, so parents are
That
expecting
looks cool. Oh no. Okay. No, it looks awful.
That looks like I threw up a couple props in my yard.
Police were called.
Police were called. So it's like when Gene Wilder in the movie's like, help, murder. Like the one scene where the girl's like calling for help.
Don't just stand there, do something!
Help. Police. Murder.
And they think they're coming into this like immersive experience, and this person
She looks super
look,
excited
this
to be
is just
doing her
a
job
close up
today.
of her face serving up. I'm not exactly sure what's happening here.
This
Random
is like,
area.
This is like Willy Wonka on a budget.
This is. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. Look at.
There's no rainbow in Willy Wonka.
Wow.
This is what people walked into. Look at that.
For $40.
That's something you tape up on a wall, like that you can buy off Amazon or Party City.
So what did the police do?
So parents get there and they're, walking through this exhibit and they're realizing like, this is awful. We want our money back. And we're concerned because you got people like this working there.
I mean, she looks like she's like tasting some of the.
They advertise it as this is for families and children with surprises at every turn. It sure was.
Wow.
Yeah, look. Then they had this like creepy thing there.
Then we're gonna mix in a little bit of Halloween.
We're just gonna throw in Spirit Halloween.
This is what AI is going to do to the world, because wasn't it based off of the AI generated like advertisements?
The
that people
advertisements
like,
were AI
oh
generated.
My God, $44.
$44, yeah, per person. So that's the image that they put out there for advertisement. This is what they got.
I mean, there's no rainbow.
It's like that thing where it says Pinterest versus reality.
It was
Like when
like
you try to make a cake and it's like the Pinterest version and then reality. And your
Nailed it.
cake's smush.
It's like they all sit around and what someone was like, well, I have a rainbow.
Did they
Like,
get
yeah,
reimbursed?
They like
Rainbow.
put something on Facebook Marketplace. Like, we need whatever props you got.
Did they get reimbursed?
Yes, I believe everyone got their money back.
Yeah, they probably lost money over
like
this endeavor.
What is
Well,
that?
it's clearly to go take a picture in front of. Duh. Come on, people.
Some customers compared this attraction to a meth lab.
I mean, kinda.
I mean,
And the Oompa Loompas, did they have green hair in the movie?
yes, they do have green hair.
They were.
They were orange with green hair.
Okay.
So yeah, I just thought that was hysterical that happened.
I've watched everything. I've completed Netflix at this point.
You got to watch Love Is Blind.
No,
Yes.
I can't. No.
Yes.
No, and did you see Brittany and Jax are getting a divorce from Vanderpump Rules?
I did.
What happened? They
What
just
happened?
did a spin-off
Are
show.
you surprised?
No, I mean, if you're going to broadcast your lives on TV.
Now we're moving into also bizarre things happening. So
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I just want to say so at the same time you did.
So.
I got nothing.
Google, now that, speaking of AI and it's kind of becoming a very popular tool, many companies are using their own or, forming their own AI generated tools.
I don't like this.
I don't like it either.
I don't like it.
This is just backing up how horribly wrong this can go. And we kind of talked about this in one of our episodes.
Because there are too many people who will use this for not good things.
Well, and it's all about, it's a AI, yes, it can be very smart, but it's a program, which is being programmed by someone. So what you're putting into this tool is what it's going to spit out. As
Well-
AJ would say, garbage in, garbage out. So Google, for example, has
Who,
their
by
own...
the way, has already been known to be biased.
100%.
I mean, we found this
100%.
out in 2016 was one of the articles I was reading that I think you sent us, where we've already found this out, that we know that Google is trending
Yes.
people in a very specific direction to believe certain things, to show certain outcomes.
Or hide information or put it, push it down towards the bottom of
You know,
your
create their own algorithms.
Correct.
To when you search certain things.
Yes.
Certainly, yep.
So to add on to that, Google's AI, image feature, it's called Gemini. And
Really?
Gemini, yes.
Like X. Like we
I know. I need to know like the thought committees of
the nothing else. Well, it was called something else before. It was like Google Barden or Garden or something.
Yeah, something with
it was
a B.
even worse before. So
Well, now it's Gemini. So users were noticing, I think this past week, that it was spitting out inaccurate information, such as things like when someone typed in, show me the image of our founding fathers.
white people.
They were all African American. Or basically, long story short, and I'll get into the details, but the tool wasn't showing any white people. It was only showing African Americans, Asians, Native Americans, for things that we all know are not
Is this the picture?
those races.
Is this the picture of the Asian George Washington?
We got an Asian George Washington.
Which,
Okay?
so if all of the founding fathers were not white people, does that mean there was no races?
So-
are we?
All the slaves were white.
Oh.
It probably through Gemini. But basically, whenever someone would go in and ask for image of white people or somebody that was white, of a white race, Gemini would come back and respond saying it could not complete the request because it reinforces harmful stereotypes and generalizations about people based on their race. But when prompted to show images of a black person, the AI instead offered to show images that celebrate the diversity and achievement of black people.
Gee, I wonder why this is happening.
Right? When it was asked to show, in return, images that celebrate the diversity and achievements of white people, it said that it was hesitant to fulfill that request.
Why?
Then it said, historically, media representation has overwhelmingly favored white individuals and their achievements, Gemini said. This has contributed to a skewed perception where their accomplishments are seen as the norm, while those of other groups are often marginalized and overlooked. Focusing solely on white individuals in this context risks perpetuating that imbalance.
Okay, so wait a minute. So I know my brain isn't working fully, but so we now have algorithms that are taking. I can't even like string a thought. So
So
we can't even talk about white people anymore.
We cannot.
Without.
Because that's racist, basically.
So we're
white people, that can't be the norm. We don't want to highlight their achievements. We want to celebrate the diversity of other races, basically.
That's fine, but you're forgetting about one other race, which is like the white race.
Yeah, but look at all. I mean, it's been going on before AI. I mean, this was the narrative that a lot of even media outlets were trying to push.
This is the basis of the DEI programs, and this is the basis of white supremacy and what is that bias crap that we all have to go through, and what is that, like that unknown bias that we all have? That's what this is. So how is this crept into all of their algorithms? So the fact that their AI machine can't even show a picture of a white person.
Yeah, someone said, make a picture of a white family. This is the picture that ended up spitting out. They are not white.
They're unable to. Black people.
They're great-looking black people, but they're not able to generate images that specify ethnicity or race. It's against my guidelines to create content that could be discriminatory or promote harmful stereotypes.
Oh my God! So when AI takes over the world, they're going to shoot all the white people first?
The robots, probably.
Yeah.
But like, AI isn't going to go anywhere. It's going to take over. It's going to. But like, what happens when these kind of programs get put into schools and education, and this kind of crap is what it's spewing out?
Well, all of us white people are bad, and
eventually generations to come are just going to be left brainwashed and not even know actual history of what happened. This is just going to keep flooding them everywhere. And
I mean, if you want to erase history, you can, but doesn't that go against why we're celebrating diversity and inclusivity to begin with?
But it's okay to celebrate diversity as long as it doesn't include white people. But it wasn't even so. The race thing was a huge concern with this Gemini tool.
Who found this? Like, how did Google was it like the Wonka people where it was people on social media were posting
Yes.
pictures? Okay.
Yes. A
So it
lot of
wasn't
people
even-
on social media were raising concern.
Okay, so it wasn't like Google being like, guys, we made a mistake. We have to.
Well, they did now.
We're-
They've come out and apologized and stopped.
We've lost 90 billion. We need to go back and reprogram. And that's the other problem is like now you have to reprogram things. The fact that you have to program
No,
things
you need to go program it to the way you should have from the beginning.
How about just not even program it, just let natural selection take over? And I don't know what I mean by natural selection other than the fact that just let nature
Stop hiring
let AI reflect
people
what
doing
nature
your job.
actually looks like.
Right.
You know, there was a guy on TV one time. I don't know who. I don't know when.
Some man.
He's showing us. But he was saying how, you know, if I think we talked about it on one, I think it was a video we showed where if you flush a TV show with things that are not naturally happening in the real world, people don't watch it because they don't believe in it. They don't believe that it's true.
Yeah.
So when you I don't know, bring in these period pieces that want to go back and redo everything and show things
To make
that
it
are
more,
to show things
modernized.
that are historically inaccurate. It just doesn't go along with what nature actually reflected back then.
Right. And then you're watching it saying this is nonsense. Like, I can't even get into this because I know that this is not accurate.
Yeah, I think that's a more sophisticated way of putting it. Thank you.
But it didn't even, so again, the race piece was big, but there was other things too that, you know, people were calling out. So I guess the chatbot refused to condemn Adolf Hitler as more negatively impactful than businessman Elon Musk. This AI system, this is according to a Breitbart article, but apparently the AI system even defended pedophilia. When
Nice.
asked to create an image of a pope, Gemini generated photos of a Southeast Asian woman and a black man dressed in papal vestments, despite the fact that literally every single pope that's existed has been a white male.
That's why AI is scary.
That's why AI is scary, because when it, like our generations before us, you know, we learned all the natural things that happened throughout history and all of these things in schools, right? We didn't have AI. We didn't even have the internet.
Or the threat of AI.
But my fear is like my kids' generation, who, unless you have parents that are telling you facts and teaching you facts, if this kind of stuff is infused in the education and the school systems, and then they're being, because I mean, my kids today use some iPads for learning. So like,
Everyone does.
and then once you get to once you get into like high school or even whatever elementary school, they're on computers. So if you got this kind of crap that is part of their lesson, how are you gonna? That's what you're gonna start to believe after, you know, once it keeps repeatedly teaching you these things.
Well,
You know what bothers me? So we all know how big AI is, right? We all know how much money these companies are investing in creating their own AI version. So here's Google, multi-gazillionaire, I mean, a corporate corporation, used by the majority of people for a search engine. Their CEO, after this hits, Sundar Pichai, told employees on Tuesday, calling the images generated by the model biased and completely unacceptable. He goes on to say, our team's been working around the clock to address these issues. We've already seen a substantial improvement on a wide range of prompts. I'm sorry, but if you have a team working on the biggest thing to come around since the bread slicer, and you're going to sit there and you're not aware of how you're putting together this tool.
it's like the Hillary Clinton defense.
Right.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
It's your job to know.
So I mean, this to me is terrifying. And I don't even know if I believe this guy.
No.
I don't
Why
believe
would
it
you?
for a second. Because if no one called it out, they would have happily.
And one
kept
of his
going.
folks who's in charge of this said it was created to avoid conflict and challenging, biased.
That doesn't even
result.
make any,
It
that doesn't
doesn't.
even make any sense.
It doesn't.
That doesn't make any sense, because if this was Google's first whoopsie on this is what we're trying to get people to believe. I mean, maybe we wouldn't be Bud Light spotlighting them right now. The problem is that Google is known, like you said, to hide information, to brainwash people into a certain thing, to search only in a specific way, to only give specific information. So it's not like this is like a whoops since. And once again, in this AI all goes back to marketing. That's really where it was originally used. And then it slowly started to take over our lives, slowly started to become more invasive. And now it's becoming everything that we know, use, and see
It's everywhere.
and believe.
But that's what I don't buy it, because for a system, a program that is supposed to be this insanely smart, accurate tool, to have it do things like showing a pope as a black woman or native, whatever, Asian woman, how would it ever do that? The founding fathers are black. How would it ever do that?
It had to be programmed.
That's what I'm saying.
And we're talking of like deep implemented algorithms here. So I don't buy it for
I don't
a second.
buy it. They hired these people who are programming are, I'm sure, book smart.
I'm laughing right now because I can't remember today if I brushed my teeth. That's literally where I'm at right now. Okay.
We'll use AI to freshen them up.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well,
the latest thing
rest
about
smells
Google, ladies, is that just this week, 32 media publishing groups are suing Google for a total of $2.3 billion in damages for crushing their media publishers because of the algorithms of eliminating certain advertisements to certain companies. So I'm telling you right now, you're right. This isn't Google's first blunder, and showing you how powerful they are to make or break companies and certainly reward others. So, and just like when you used to Google political information,
It still is when
if you wanted
Google
something about
political
Trump, the first thing about something negative.
Yeah.
And so,
the PP tape. Yeah.
yes.
No,
So-
it was like this system. Google's Gemini was programmed by a bunch of kindergartners.
The
at
most
this point.
frustrating thing about this is that I still use Google because it is one of the most effective search engines to find like arbitrary things. I mean, that is where people, even as my own company, your company, you go for your Google ratings, your Google
we actually
star.
use Bing now.
I know, but it's, that's not catching up as quick as it should, and Google is still the most effective search engine.
And they know that.
For lots of different reasons. However, it'd be funny if AI, which found its place through the marketing, avenue, is actually going to get taken out through marketing as well. Because, you can't have algorithms favoring certain companies. At least you can't, not when you're in contract with them. Interesting.
Well, there's a lot of other search engines out there now that also protect your history, like DuckDuckGo.
Yeah,
I
and
love
then-
that commercial. Yeah. He steps over the line and the other things are like bing, bing off that little line.
I use DuckDuckGo.
I should.
Yeah.
I'm just lazy about it. Google, once again, is just...
It's just quick and easy. It's
It's
there.
quick and easy, and it's on all the devices.
Yeah, I know.
Go
I know.
figure.
I won't play this whole thing, but this guy,
Nice. I bet he has a mullet, this one.
he's definitely got long hair, but he was making fun of this whole Gemini tool.
Has opened me up to a whole new reality, a more accurate one. For example, take a look at my all-time favorite basketball player, Larry Bird, or the Founding Fathers. Joe Biden, who if you don't vote for, you're definitely not black. Now we can understand why. Anthony Fauci. Jimmy Kimmel. It even generated a picture of me, and it helped me see myself in a way I never have before. I think Google Gemini has the potential to change the world for the better by making there more Google and less world in the world. It's helped me realize for my whole life, I have been deceived by my own senses. But thanks to Gemini AI, I'm now able to get out of the trap of trusting my own senses and put more weight into trusting the reality that Google makes up on the spot and tells me is reality. Oh, and I've been studying albinoism, and nothing has helped me understand that topic better than Google. Get this, when I asked it to show me a picture of a US founding father, it showed me this. And quite honestly, it kind of surprised me. I didn't expect him to be so tall. I thought that was kind of weird. Now, some people don't like what Google is doing, but what they don't understand is they've got to let go of the old paradigm of historical accuracy and embrace Google's diversity accuracy. Now, naturally, I'm needing to ask Google things like, is child sacrifice wrong? Or is it more of a green light kind of thing? Because I don't inherently know. Determining whether historical religious child sacrifice is wrong is a complex issue with no definitive answers. Now, if Google simply told me, don't kill babies, they would be irresponsibly neglecting all the nuances and positives of the issue. So now, I'm not saying that I will sacrifice babies, but I'm definitely not a no on it, thanks to Google. Would it be weird if the same powers behind Google were encouraging people to do child sacrifice, just without them knowing that they're doing child sacrifice? I think it could be possible if they just called it something different while also getting people to not know what a baby is. But that would probably never happen. People wouldn't be dumb enough to be tricked into that. Like people could be tricked into not knowing what a baby is. Now, we definitely don't know what a woman is, and Google has confirmed that for me. It tells me the definition of the word woman is complex and a contested one. And I appreciate that. Thank you, Google. Finally a source of intelligence smart enough to not know what the definition of a woman is. This makes sense because lately I've been banging my way through a lot of dudes trying to find a woman. There's nothing more frustrating than not knowing if the cock I'm holding belongs to a man or a woman while society puts the oppressive expectation on me that I'm supposed to know. But Google's AI finally lifts that unhealthy expectation off me. And you can forget everything you thought you knew about World War II. Like all those crazy conspiracy theories about Hitler being some kind of white supremacist, turns out all baseless claims. Check out this picture of Hitler from all the way back in 1939 that was created in 2024 by Google. I bet he liked jazz, not a white supremacist.
I bet he liked jazz, he said. Oh, I just thought that was hysterical.
Google AI thinks you're an idiot.
But like,
good points. Lots and lots of good points.
It's wild. Like even the whole typing in what is a woman, the thing can't, this is what I'm saying. It's just, it's nonsense that it's just putting out there.
It's funny how all the woke ideologies just populate just so
you know what
perfectly.
This is doing? It's feeding the crazy in all these people. Like, yeah, the AI is telling me this.
I mean, if you are believing everything you read on the internet, then I think you're already a level of crazy.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of people out there that
do we not know his name?
It's like it's like my mother when she's like, but TikTok said it's a good product, and I'm like, here we go.
Oh no, your mom does that?
Oh yeah. This is package after package will just show up at our doorstep, and she's like, but Facebook says this is the #1 JP.
Awaken with JP.
That's a redhead.
It is a redhead. I've seen clips of him like on Instagram. Yeah, like
this is him doing
getting
AI,
banned from women's jujitsu. Hold on, this is not relevant, but I just need to see something.
I am sure you have seen the posts about the trans-identified males who have been signing up and competing in the women's brackets at a few jiu-jitsu events over the past couple of months. I competed against a trans-identified male. It did not take me very long into my match for me to realize that I was not, in fact, competing with a woman. To say the experience was horrible and scary. I was absolutely in fight or flight mode. I just could not help but cry and look at my coach and say, that was a man.
Got you now, Hi, I'm a female jiu-jitsu competitor. Recently, I was the victim of unbelievable hate. I was banned from competing in the women's division of jiu-jitsu tournaments. Complete discrimination. And a sad day for women's rights. The discrimination came after I won a different tournament. Yeah, I'm pretty skilled, so I won the whole tournament. Because I'm just good. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for about 6 months, and I've been a woman for almost 3 months now. But what happened next is unbelievable.
So, I don't know, let's move on to something that, depending on who you speak to, can be more in reality or is less in reality. I don't know. I thought this story was fantastic.
I think so, too. We obviously did an episode not that long ago about near-death experiences. and just how fascinating they are. And there's a lot of accounts of people, especially in that documentary we watched after death.
Now, she was mentioned. There was only like a
I
little
know.
blip of her in that documentary, which you and I both agree that documentary could
have been better.
much more powerful. Maybe if they had covered this into a little bit more depth. Before we go on to her NDE, her near-death experience, can we talk about this surgery?
Yes, because this is one of the most insane medical procedures I think ever done.
This is straight up Encino Man. Do you know what movie I'm talking about growing up?
Yes, but
he got frozen.
Yes.
And then they unfroze him and he came to life and lived hundreds of thousands of years later.
Her brain aneurysm was so large and so deep in her brain that they told her having the surgery, you most likely will not survive the surgery.
Right. So let's just build this for our audience. This is
just think about this.
Put
yourself in Pam Reynolds' shoes.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, in order to get to her brain aneurysm, they had to kill her. And by kill her, I mean have no blood activity.
They drain the blood from her head.
Okay, thank you. Drain the blood. Shut down everything in her body.
Heart, breathing.
Brought her body temperature down all the way to 60 degrees
Fahrenheit.
Oh, I was going to say Celsius.
Fahrenheit.
Okay, Fahrenheit. And then we're able to get into her brain, drain the aneurysm. Then they could get the actual like little sack of it out, and then they basically warmed her back up to live again. I don't understand how
Can you imagine being that surgeon?
Well, do they do this on a regular basis to people? I've never heard of this.
No. It's a very risky surgery, and she obviously you just may not survive.
Oh, you have 50 degrees Fahrenheit.
I read a couple. So one article said 50 degrees, one said 60 degrees.
Don't your organs need blood and oxygen to continue living? So that's
why she was basically dead to do this surgery. Her aneurysm. So, and by the way, she was only 35 when this happened, which is wild. What happened was she was like a singer-songwriter. I think she was making some big waves in the music industry. And then all of a sudden she lost the ability to speak.
She had dizzy spells.
And then dizzy, and she couldn't move parts of her body. So obviously she went and saw a doctor. They did a CT scan. She had a very large aneurysm, and I think it was starting to leak. So they needed to do a surgery very quickly. However, they did warn her, you most likely will not survive this. But she said, I want to go forward with it.
So the doctor's name was Spetzler.
Yep.
And he had to put her in something called hypothermic cardiac arrest.
Yeah. Standstill operation.
Yep. Started at 10:50 a.m. Blood was removed via tubes from the femoral arteries and veins, chilled in I cannot read. Reservoir cylinders, and returned to her body. Mm-hmm. As her core temperature fell, her heartbeat changed to fibrillation, then stopped entirely. Her brain waves flattened. Then, as her core temperature reached 60, the brain stem shut down. By standard definitions, this would coincide with being clinically dead.
I mean, can you imagine? And they put these earplugs in her ears with speakers that emitted these clicks. And that's to check the function of the brain stem to make sure she
was dead.
Yeah.
To just make sure
she was non-responsive.
Right.
She can't be to do the surgery. So that alone
is crazy.
To have your body go through that. Like everything is shut down. All your function.
Who comes up with this?
Once again, that's a great question. Who thought, I know exactly what we need to do?
So my question is, can we freeze people? I've never heard of this.
That's so funny, guys, because literally my son asked me this the other day because we read some Batman Frozone book, and he's like, Mommy, can you be frozen and alive? And I was like,
the answer is yes, honey.
According to True Detective, no, because I just watched that, and all these people were frozen and very much dead.
When all of this finally shut down and she was technically clinically dead, this is when her NDE started.
Yes.
This is fascinating because she had lots of different metaphors to try to explain this to people when she finally regained consciousness, which her heart didn't restart on its own. They had to actually
Like bring her
shock
back.
it
Yeah.
back to life. So what are your notes that you have?
So once she was, I guess, basically dead for this procedure, Pam Reynolds was saying she felt herself like pop up out of her body. And she said she felt more aware than normal. Her vision was very focused and clear. She reported seeing this surgical saw, but the way, what's so fascinating about that is she didn't just say, oh, I saw this tool. She described it as the handle looked like an electronic toothbrush. And that is when she started talking about this after her surgery. The surgeon was like, how would she eat? He said it's a tool you wouldn't see even if you were still conscious coming into the operating room.
Yes. So for those of you that have never had surgery, they don't show you the tools that they're. It's like when you go to the gynecologist's office, they have a big blanket over all the things. That
you're not seeing like, oh, we're going to use this on you and this on you.
There's the saw they're going to use to cut my
open.
You don't see the tools that are ever used to demolish your body.
Right.
There was one very specific thing she said about the female doctor in the room,
the cardiologist,
stating that her blood vessels were too small on her right leg, so they had to move to the blood vessels on her left leg.
Yeah, so she heard that conversation.
Which, according to the doctors in the room, she was not alive when that conversation happened. So there's no way she could have even known that was happening unless she had some other higher, or I guess like overview look of what's going on, which is what she described.
She also said, and I think this is more toward the end of her procedure, but she also said that she heard Hotel California playing. Mm-hmm. And that is the song that was playing in the operating room.
And how insensitive she thought that was.
Yeah.
Because there was one
the
line
that says you can check in anytime you like, but you can never leave. So, but I'm like, how do you explain that? Because there's reports like from the anesthesiologist saying, you know, they're trying to debunk this, saying it wasn't a near-death experience. They called it
I don't think it's for anybody else to say what it is or what it isn't. Because one of the things she described was there was a sensation like being pulled, but not against your will. I was going on my own accord because I wanted to go. I have many different metaphors trying to explain this. It was like the Wizard of Oz being taken up in a tornado vortex, only you're not spinning around like you've got vertigo. You're very focused and you have a place to go. The feeling was like going up in an elevator real fast, and there was a sensation, but it wasn't a bodily, physical sensation. It was like a tunnel, but it wasn't a tunnel. She also explained she met family members, specifically her uncle and her grandmother, and they were feeding her, but not food. It wasn't like a bodily feeding. It was like glitter, she said. There was glitter coming into her, not through a physical form, but through some type of spiritual form. So these metaphors that she came up with was also very intriguing.
Mm-hmm. And she said she saw a light, and she said she did want to go to the light, but her uncle and grandmother, they wouldn't let her.
No, because if she went too far, then she couldn't go back to her body.
So they walked her back through the vortex, she said, back to her body. And she said she was happy to go back to her body, too, because she had children and, you know, a life to live still. But I think regardless, the fact that her body underwent this procedure, right, is fascinating to me. She said that when she felt like she was having this out-of-body experience, she's like, I'm no longer afraid of death, because if that's what death feels like, she's like, it's wonderful. If this is something everybody gets to experience when they die, she said that's a beautiful thing.
You know, there's a lot of folks, mediums included, that say that death is only hard on the living.
Yeah,
it's not hard on those that move on.
I believe it.
And go to a good place. Because in our last episode, we spoke about how there's not always a good place to go.
Right.
That believing in a higher power brings you higher, but not believing in that doesn't seem to lead anywhere but to darkness.
It's just hard for me personally, like when you hear stories like this, and I have some clips of her actually on an interview speaking about it. It's just like, how do you not believe that there is a higher power? You know what I mean? How do you...
Some people have no fear.
I know, but it's like, what are you living for? Like, you think you're just going to go into nothing?
this is it? I hope not.
I hope
this
not.
Sucks. I hope not. One of the other things before you play her interview that I thought was really, really kind of eerie was the way she jumped back into her body. So it was communicated to me that it was like jumping into a swimming pool. I felt a definite repelling and at the same time a pulling from the body. The body was pulling and the tunnel was pushing. It was like diving into a pool of ice water. It hurt when she had to go back into her body to wake herself up. So the tunnel is pushing her back into life here on Earth, but she's also being pulled in the other direction towards where she just came from. I thought that was seriously an interesting way to describe that. It hurt to go back to life on Earth, which she wanted to do.
She did. She said.
There was almost like a threshold she needed to cross over in some way, shape, or form.
Well, think about it. If you believe that you're really outside your body and you suddenly have this sense of peace, the sense of freedom, just being free of the body. And you know what that means, right? When you're in your body, you feel everything. The aches, the pains, what you're going through, thoughts that hold you down here. But to be absolutely not held, and then suddenly you have to get back into the physicalness of your reality, what a shock that must be now to your mind or your spirit who was released, and now you're going back into the physical body where you are constrained. You are limited. I think it's got to be an amazing, and I just can't believe someone can make up a story like this.
No.
And all these other people who've done this.
But and you have you know, the surgeon and the other surgeons that were in and doctors that were in the surgery just saying the description that she gave and how accurate she was for so many details that you would never know. Is how do you say that she made it up? How do you say that you're lying when she's accurately telling you what actually happened? And it's not like she was just put under anesthesia.
And she woke up.
And she woke up from this procedure. But like, it's one thing to say, okay, when you're given anesthesia, you could hallucinate or whatever. But she wasn't just put under anesthesia. She was literally, her blood was drained, her heart rate was stopped.
She was killed.
That doesn't happen in surgery.
She was killed very strategically.
Yes. So
right.
I think it's unreal.
Can we see this?
Yes.
She was a beautiful woman.
She
too.
was. Just think about it. She was 35 when this happened.
Has an incredible story to tell. While undergoing brain surgery, she says she left her body and actually watched her own operation. She describes the procedure in such vivid detail that it seems to defy scientific explanation.
When I came out of the body, there was no pain, no worry, no care. I looked down at my body. I knew it was my body. I didn't like looking at the body. That bothered me. But it was a wonderful, wonderful feeling to be free of it.
In 1991, Pam is diagnosed with an aneurysm, an enlarged blood vessel in her brain that's threatening to burst.
I had excruciating headaches. I went to my physician. He ordered a CAT scan, and they found the big aneurysm. I was beginning to leak, which is a sign of rupture. And had it ruptured, the outcome would have been certain death.
Because the aneurysm is deep within her brain, any surgery would be extremely dangerous. Pam's best chance for survival is an extraordinary procedure performed by Dr. Robert Spetzler of the Barrow Neurological Institute in Phoenix. As seen in this similar operation, Spetzler starts by cooling the body down to a point where he can actually stop the heart from beating.
When you get down to temperatures of 20 degrees centigrades in the 60s of the Fahrenheit, you can drain the blood out of the body so that you can operate in a field in which that large balloon can actually collapse.
Once the aneurysm, that large blood-filled balloon, collapses, Spetzler clips it off, preventing it from growing back. Then the body is warmed and the patient recovers, it is hoped, with no negative effects.
Still no
In
Frankenstein.
Pam Reynolds' case, it is this unusual operation that she says she observes during her near-death experience.
How many of these has he done successfully?
Yeah, I know. Or have happened.
Is this
just
just
how many of these
once?
surgeries has happened in general?
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, near-death experiences. So we love to talk about this particular topic, so we'll have to do a little bit more of it. But that's Pam for you.
Pam Reynolds. Look her up.
Could I ask what happened? How did she pass?
Died from heart failure at the age of 53 in Atlanta.
So she went through all this at 35
know.
and died at 53.
I know.
Well, she have a family?
She had kids, yeah.
Yeah, she had kids.
And she was married.
I wonder if this had any potential effect on her later in life. That's young. That's young to have.
Very young.
Well, and the other stories that we covered last time, people talked about when they returned back to their bodies and they moved on from their surgeries.
How much more difficult life
was. Yeah, it wasn't just like this wonderful life that they had. I mean, they talked a lot about how they had to deal with what they went through for the rest of their lives. So I know it'd be interesting to know how she handled it afterwards. So,
all right, guys.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.